One foot right on the other.
Too much blood, and it's made you anemic. Perform a blood transfusion or get some rest before you drop.
Thank God I can't if I ended it. So my mate. Alright, sure. Alright. Actually a good thing I feel like for taking one of these guys, just losing all my shit, fuck it. Right, come on. I am really going to enjoy this. No, there's one more. Right. I have nothing in me. What the hell's going on here?
How you doing, Sam? Whoa. Someone's happy.
So you can go on it now. Alright, fine. Where the fuck is my... right, did I lose all of my shit? I didn't. All of my fucking sub-challenges and shit.
Hey, come and get me!
Should have been anyway. Maybe it's back at one of my bets. I probably will be able to get out.
Almost there. Beginning scan. Scanning bridges up. Verifying ID. Clear. Weapons detected. All weapons will be locked until departure. Cargo verified. Thank you. Decontaminating suit. All clear, Sam. Welcome, Sam Porter Bridges.
Back, are you? Delivery's in damn fine shape.
The records you brought back for analysis contained additional designs for BB pods. This data has given us new... Feel free to experiment with this feature the next time you visit your private room.
Okay.
Bye, Sam.
Good work. New order available. Please access delivery terminal for further review.
Okay. Alright, let's get on my ride. See that look.
Your work is greatly appreciated, Sam.
Hopefully I've got my bait back after this event.
Good morning, Sam. Blood collection complete. Thank you for your generosity.
Yeah. Interesting, so I can actually go back and fight the same boss again if I wanted. I don't have an exclamation point. What's going on? Seems different. Why is he my face in this? Fuck. Seems like this guy's a bit mad as well. I don't know if it's a laugh from me, but still. I'll go check him again. Customize pod. Ugh. Oh, gold.
Boom.
What did you get in the costumes? I'll show you the paint in there. Although I want to get you to do that actually.
Fuck, idiot. Thinking you could keep us safe. Man like you. I put on that bet. Just you and me now, BB. That's all I got. I'll keep you safe. No matter what.
Okay, now the question is, where the fuck is my base? No, it's not. Yeah, how far is that? 1, 2, 4 meters. but I was feeling a little bit. Which means I may actually be able to get some fucking pizza, mate. Jesus, man. Oh, there you go. There you go now. Alright, that's good. The centre balance is pretty good. A wee bit more on that side than is on this side, but that's okay. Okay. Can I like stack these up? No, I guess that's it. Right, that's it. I'm going to go there anyway. 6 kilograms for that thing, that's what I'm supposed to do. No, fuck it and take it. Simple.
Order assigned.
Yeah, how do I find it? Not bad. Big fish. I remember that movie. That was pretty good. Right. Interesting.
Beginning scan. Have a pleasant journey.
Good morning, Sam. Safe travel. Safe travel. Safe travel.
That's not the last thing, but is where the fuck is my bait? Like, hold on. was up here somewhere. But I think I went by where it was, and it's just no fucking name. Batman and the War 114.
More scarred than before. Survival in this nightmare reality had required adaptation. His utility belt contained modified versions of his tools, created from scavenged parts and rare archaeotech. The batsuit itself had been reinforced with salvaged flak armor and mesh weave. A dozen screens displayed information about Necromunda's power structure, the noble houses that ruled from the spires, the Arbites who enforced a mockery of law, the gangs that fought over scraps, and whispers of something worse, hiding beneath it all. Master Bruce, came Alfred's voice from the Vox unit at his workstation. Not truly Alfred, but a voice simulation program Bruce had created to preserve his sanity in this alien world. You have been awake for 72 hours. Even you require rest. Bruce ignored the program. On his central display was an intercepted Arbites report. Mysterious disappearances in Hive Secundus. Not the usual gang violence or press gangs. Something methodical. Something ritual. The cultists are expanding their operation, Bruce said, more to himself than the Alfred program. They need to be stopped before they complete whatever ceremony they're planning. The program responded with Alfred's characteristic concern. And will you also address the Arbites magistrate who has made capturing you his personal crusade? Bruce's expression hardened. Varos is a good man in a corrupt system. He's not my enemy. He would disagree, sir. Bruce donned the cowl once more. The systems interfacing with his neural implants, another necessity of this new world. Then I'll have to convince him otherwise. In the mid-level of Hive Primus, the Gorgon's respite drinking hall catered to a dangerous clientele. Mercenaries, bounty hunters, and gang leaders conducted business under the watchful eyes of servitor turrets. Magistrate Varos sat in a shadowed booth, out of uniform, nursing a glass of Amasec. Across from him sat a woman with a shaved head and a face covered in gang tattoos. Speak plainly, Lo, Varos said. What have you heard about the Batman? Lo glanced nervously around the bar. They say he cannot be killed. Ganger from the Orlogs put 6 stubber rounds in him. He stood back up, broke the man's arms, and hung him from a coolant pipe. Exaggeration, Varos muttered. Maybe. Lo leaned forward. But I seen what he did to Carlin's crew when they was moving those stolen juveniles from flesh markets. Left them broken but breathing. Freed all 40 kids. She took a long drink. Thing is, Magistrate, some folks down below, they starting to see him different than you lawmen do. How so? Like he's some kinda Emperor-sent angel, watching over those the Imperium forgot. Varos scoffed. The Emperor protects through his institutions, not vigilantes. Tell that to them kids who ain't slaves now. Lo stood. There's something else. Something you need to hear. They say the Batman is something in the deep hive. Something even the gangs fear. Varos leaned forward. What? Don't know exactly. But bodies been turning up. Drained of blood. Carved with symbols. The kind that hurt your eyes to look at. Lo made the sign of the animal. Even the redemptionists won't go near those sectors now. After Lo departed, Varos remained, troubled by her words. A shadow fell across his table. He looked up to see Inquisitor Cade, consorting with criminals magistrate. She asked, sliding into the booth uninvited. Gathering intelligence, Varos replied simply, on our mutual interest. Cade produced a data slate. Perhaps we can help each other. I have resources beyond your Arbites division.
Right here.
Varos studied her. Inquisitors never offered partnerships without ulterior motives. Why would you care about one vigilante when you hunt heretics across the sector? Cade's augmetic eyes gleamed. Because, Magistrate, I believe our vigilante and my heretics may be connected. Look. She slid the data slate toward him. It showed autopsy pics of the bodies Lowe had mentioned. The symbols carved into the flesh made Varos's stomach turn. A cult dedicated to an entity called the Sleeper in the Dark, Cade explained. They believe sacrifices will awaken their god, and it seems your Batman is hunting them too. Varos pushed the slate back. So we have a common enemy. For now, Cade said. But ask yourself this, Magistrate. What happens when a man decides he knows better than the Emperor's own laws? Today he hunts cultists. Tomorrow, Varos had no answer. The abandoned Promethean refinery in the depths of Hive Secundus served as the perfect hiding place for the cult of the Sleeper. Batman watched from the rafters as robed figures carried a struggling form toward a central platform. Their prisoner, a young woman, screamed against her gag. 13 cultists, all armed with auto pistols and ritual daggers. Their leader wore an ornate helmet fashioned to resemble a squid, its metal tentacles writhing with unnatural motion. Bruce had tracked them for weeks, following the trail of mutilated bodies and strange symbols. Research using stolen Arbites files identified them as a chaos cult dedicated to an entity similar to what the Ordo Malleus classified as a lesser daemon of Tziench. The cult believed their sacrifices would open a gateway allowing their god to enter real space. Batman tapped his cowl, activating thermal vision. 2 more cultists guarded the perimeter. The leader raised a ceremonial blade above the bound woman. Time to move. Batman hurled 3 batarangs in rapid succession. The first struck the ritual blade, sending it spinning from the cult leader's hand. The second and third hit the overhead lumens, plunging the chamber into darkness. Screams of confusion erupted as Batman dropped silently to the floor. "It's him," one cultist cried out. "The bat creature. Shoot it," the leader commanded, his voice distorted by his helmet. "Kill it for the Sleeper." Gunfire erupted, wild and undisciplined. Batman moved through the darkness like a wraith, his augmented vision showing the cultists as bright silhouettes. He struck the first from behind, a precise blow to the base of the skull. The second received a kick that shattered his knee. A third fired at a shadow only to be disarmed and rendered unconscious by a nerve strike. "Where is it?" screamed the leader. "How does it move so quickly?" Batman's voice emanated from the darkness, seeming to come from everywhere at once. "Your sacrifices end tonight." A cultist fired blindly, hitting one of his own. Batman descended upon 2 more, his reinforced gauntlets breaking bones with mechanical precision. 8 down, 5 remaining, including the leader. The leader backed toward the sacrifice platform. "Show yourself, creature. I am not the creature here." Batman emerged from the shadows behind him. "You are." The leader whirled, swinging a secondary blade. Batman caught his wrist, twisting until the bone snapped. The helmet's tentacles suddenly animated, flashing toward Batman's face with metallic shrieks. Not decoration, but warp-touch technology. One tendril sliced through the armor at Batman's shoulder before he could tear the helmet free and cast it aside. The cult leader's exposed face was a map of ritual scars and implanted gems that pulsed with unnatural light. "The Sleeper has shown me you're coming," he hissed. "The man who thinks himself a bat. The warrior from another reality." Batman lifted the man by his robes. "Talk. The warp brought you here for a purpose. Our master has plans for souls as strong as yours." The cultist laughed, blood trickling from his mouth. "You cannot stop what is already in motion. The rituals are complete. The gateway forms. Behind them, the sacrificial platform began to glow with sickly blue light. The bound woman screamed louder through her gag as the light enveloped her. Her body contorted, bones cracking as something began to take shape within her. Batman dropped the cult leader and rushed to the platform. He pulled a device from his belt, a modified version of a stasis grenade stolen from an Adeptus Mechanicus courier. It would temporarily freeze the ritual in progress. That will not save her. The cult leader laughed. The sleeper comes. Batman activated the device. The blue light stuttered and froze. The woman's twisted body remained suspended in mid-transformation. Not a permanent solution, but enough time to get her to someone who might help. A slow clapping echoed through the chamber. Batman turned to see a woman in a black coat standing in the entrance, flanked by armed figures in the distinctive armor of the Adeptus Arbites. Among them stood Magistrate Barros. Impressive, said Inquisitor Cade. Though you've merely delayed the inevitable, that woman is already lost. Batman stood his ground as the Arbites formed a semicircle, hellguns trained on him. Step away from the heretic vigilante, ordered Barros. By the authority of the Emperor's law, you are under arrest. The Inquisitor raised a hand. Not yet, Magistrate. I would speak with him first. She approached Batman without fear. You've been quite thorough in your crusade against this cult, almost as if you have experience with such entities. Batman remained silent, calculating escape routes, weapon ranges, the time left on the stasis device. Your technology is curious, she continued. Advanced in some ways, primitive in others, not imperial standard. Not Xenos either, from what I can determine. She gestured to the unconscious cultists. You disabled 13 armed heretics without killing a single one. Remarkable restraint. They faced the Emperor's justice. Batman finally spoke, his voice a harsh growl through the cowl's vocalizer. Death is too easy. Cade's eyebrow raised. So you do acknowledge Imperial authority. Interesting. She circled him, studying his armor and equipment. Where do you come from, Batman? What brought you to Necromunda? I woke up here. That's all I know. The warp has been known to displace objects, even people, across time and space, especially during times of great disturbance. Cade nodded to the suspended ritual, like when someone attempts to open a gateway. Barros stepped forward. Enough talk. He's a criminal who has evaded Imperial justice for months, and in doing so, led us to a dangerous cult we might never have found. Cade countered. She fixed Batman with her augmetic stare. I offer you a choice. Work with the Inquisition. Your skills, your technology, your obvious talent for instilling fear, all in service to the Emperor. The alternative is less pleasant. Before Batman could respond, the stasis field around the sacrifice platform flickered. The woman's body jerked, her spine arching impossibly backward. The stasis is failing, Batman warned. Cade sighed. As expected, Arbites destroy the possessed. Barros raised his hand. But she's still human, Inquisitor. Not anymore. The stasis field collapsed completely. The woman's body exploded in a shower of gore and blue flame. Where she had been stood a towering figure of twisted limbs, too many eyes. Its skin rippled with symbols identical to those carved into the cult's victims. For the sleeper, cried the cult leader, struggling to his feet. Destroy them all, my master. The daemon let out a screech that caused blood to leak from the ears of two Arbites. It lashed out with elongated claws. Disemboweling the nearest officer before he could fire. Containment protocol, shouted Varros. Concentrated fire. The Arbites opened fire, their hellgun beams cutting through the daemon's flesh, only for it to
Beginning scan. Have a pleasant journey.
Instantly, the creature moved with impossible speed, tearing through the Arbites' ranks. 3 more fell in seconds, their armor providing no protection against warp-strengthened claws. Batman reacted instantly.
Weapon restrictions.
Throwing a series of explosive batarangs at the ceiling above the daemon. The detonations brought down tons of metal and concrete, momentarily burying the creature. That won't hold it. Cade said calmly, drawing an ornate pistol. Nothing on this plane can truly kill it without the proper rites. The rubble exploded outward as the daemon emerged, larger than before, absorbing the mass of the debris into itself. It focused its many eyes on Batman. The stranger, it spoke, its voice like breaking glass. The one who does not belong. Your fear is different, older, purer. It lunged for Batman with frightening speed. He dodged by millimeters, feeling the displacement of air as claws passed his face. The daemon was learning, anticipating. Batman threw down smoke grenades, flooding the chamber with dense black clouds. Your tricks mean nothing, the daemon hissed. I taste your soul. From the smoke, Batman launched his grapnel gun, the hook embedding in what passed the daemon's shoulder. Instead of pulling himself toward it, he activated the winch in reverse, dragging the creature off balance. As it stumbled, Inquisitor Cade stepped forward, her pistol aimed at its center mass. In the Emperor's name, she intoned, firing 3 rounds in rapid succession. The specialized ammunition struck the daemon, each shell containing a miniature stasis field that froze portions of its form. The creature shrieked in frustration.
That's it over there. Back up. Come on. Shut it up. Holy shit, what is that? Not too high. Take it left. Something that's calling it. I got a fucking thing. I haven't heard a lot about this before. What are we trying to get? There's nothing there. I guess I'll cut off some of it. Und das ist einfach wie angenommen. guys actually on make sure we get covered already. I don't want to see what comes to it. I just we'll find more in health as well. And down. There's a lot on that office. I don't know what I was finding for this stuff. I don't know. Really mind, so I can send you one.
Not a moment too soon.
Got down right in the open with an in-man. No. Hello. Anywhere I can get cover. Someone's posted it up. That's the one. That's all we can do. God damn it. I don't know whether that's done. You know, what thing about fucking scared to do this? I was thinking about it, let's look definitely at somebody's notes. We've got these 30 over today. And we'll have lots of fucking mails, getting a bunch of shit, all unnecessary shit. It is, man. That's the spell. Taking on that. Military are trying to commit their shit to this. I don't know, like, maybe extra bits to stay on to. They're gonna do this. I don't know what they're doing now. I want to get back out of it, you know. It's careful with cats. I think it's up like a mule game. Savage fucking in the hill or something.
This one's for you. Well, enjoy it. At least while it lasts.
Back in a bit. Going. I couldn't think of something, but I'll edit it. Some woman
Frustration as parts of its body became immobile, disrupting its cohesion. Batman saw the opportunity. He launched himself at the demon, driving a modified power blade into the frozen section of its chest. The weapon was another acquisition, enhanced with technology he barely understood but had determined would disrupt warp entities. The daemon convulsed as energy coursed through its form. Batman twisted the blade, driving it deeper, the creature's many eyes fixed on him with hatred. This vessel dies, it snarled. But I know you now, Bruce Wayne. I will find you again. With a final shriek, the daemon's physical form collapsed, melting into a puddle of noxious fluid. The remaining cultists lay dead, their life force drained by their master's manifestation. In the sudden silence, Batman turned to find every surviving Arbite's weapon trained on him again. Inquisitor Cade studied him with new interest. Bruce Wayne, she repeated. Is that your true name? Batman said nothing, but his mind raced. The daemon had pulled his identity from his thoughts. A tactical disadvantage. It doesn't matter, Varos interrupted. He's still under arrest. Cade holstered her pistol. I'm afraid I must invoke inquisitorial authority, Magistrate. This man is now under my jurisdiction. On what grounds? Varos demanded. He survived direct contact with a warp entity, demonstrated knowledge of how to combat it, and possesses technology of uncertain origin. Cade smiled thinly. All matters for the Inquisition. Batman tensed, ready to fight or flee. The daemon had called him by name, but it had also said something else. The one who does not belong. The cult leader claimed the warp had brought him to this reality. If that were true, there might be a way back. Neither of you will take me, Batman stated flatly. Cade laughed. Bold, but unrealistic. You're surrounded, injured, and exhausted. Am I? Batman pressed a control on his gauntlet. Throughout the chamber, small devices he had planted during the smoke screen activated simultaneously, emitting electromagnetic pulses that disabled the Arbite's weapons and comms systems. In the same instant, explosives detonated in the ceiling, creating a shower of debris and a perfect distraction. By the time the dust settled, Batman was gone. Varos cursed as he tried to restore power to his Hellgun. He planned this, all of it. Of course he did, Cade said, oddly pleased. He's exactly what I hoped he would be. In the weeks that followed, rumors of the Batman spread through all levels of Hive Primus. In the Underhive, gangers spoke in whispers of an unstoppable vigilante who could appear from nowhere and vanish just as quickly. In the Mid-Hive, merchants paid protection money to their new guardian rather than local gangs. Even in the upper spires, noble houses heard the whispers and began to fear for their secrets. Magistrate Varos found himself in an impossible position. Crime rates in sectors associated with Batman sightings had dropped significantly. Gang violence had decreased. Even the flesh trade had been disrupted, with 3 major operations shut down in a month. By any objective measure, the vigilante was doing the Emperor's work more effectively than the Arbites ever had. Yet he remained a criminal, a symbol of defiance against Imperial authority. You should be pleased, Magistrate, Lord Helmore said during a rare private audience. Your jurisdiction has never been more peaceful. Varos stood stiffly at attention. My lord, this vigilante undermines the very foundation of Imperial law. If citizens believe justice comes from masked men rather than the Emperor's appointed authorities, then perhaps the Emperor's authorities should demonstrate their effectiveness more convincingly. Helmore smiled coldly. The noble houses are divided on this matter. Some see the Batman as a useful tool for controlling the lower levels without expending their own resources. Others fear what his example might inspire. And your position, my lord? I care only for stability and tithe quotas. Both have improved since his appearance. Helmore leaned forward. However, the Inquisition remains concerned. They believe he possesses restricted technology and potentially warp knowledge. These are serious matters. I will redouble my efforts to capture him, Varos promised. see that you do, before someone else does. Unknown to either man, Batman watched this exchange through a micro-auspex he had planted in Helmar's chambers days earlier. His network of surveillance devices now extended throughout much of Hive Primus, giving him eyes and ears in places even the Inquisition couldn't reach. In his expanded cave, Bruce had constructed a more permanent base. Stolen cogitators hummed alongside salvaged Vox units. A modified Medicae station treated his wounds with a combination of Imperial technology and techniques he remembered from his world. A forge allowed him to manufacture replacement batarangs and other equipment. Most importantly, he had accumulated knowledge. Data stolen from Arbitrate's precincts and administrative offices, even limited inquisitorial files courtesy of a security breach he had exploited during the Damon encounter. Master Bruce, the Alpha program intern. Your injuries from the Manufactorum raid require attention. Bruce glanced at the laceration on his arm, courtesy of a ganger with a power blade. Later, may I remind you that without proper medical facilities, even minor wounds can become lethal in this environment. Bruce ignored the program's concern. On his main display was a map showing a pattern of disappearances and warp disturbances across 3 Hive sectors, similar to the sleeper cult's work, but more sophisticated, more careful. They're building to something bigger, Bruce muttered. The first Daemon was just a test. The Alfred program processed this information, and you believe Inquisitor Cade is aware of this pattern. She knows more than she's revealed. The Inquisition always does. Bruce studied another screen showing Cade's face. She's hunting the cultists too, but she's also hunting me. Perhaps cooperation would be prudent, given your shared objective. Bruce's expression darkened. The Inquisition's methods are extreme. They would purge entire sections of the Hive on suspicion alone, as opposed to your more measured approach of breaking limbs and instilling terror. Despite everything, Bruce almost smiled. He had programmed the Alfred simulation too well. I don't kill. A distinction increasingly lost on the population. According to your own surveillance, you are variously described as an Emperor-sent angel, a Daemon hunter, and a vengeful spirit. Let them believe what they want. Fear is useful, and when fear becomes worship. This is not Gotham, Master Bruce. Faith and fear are dangerously intertwined in this society. Before Bruce could respond, an alert sounded from one of his monitoring stations. A significant power surge in Hive Secundus, near the same location as the previous Daemon incursion. He accessed the surveillance feed he had placed there. Robed figures moved through the ruins, more numerous than before. At their center walked a tall figure in ornate power armor, its surface inscribed with arcane symbols. A Chaos Space Marine, Bruce identified, recalling information from the Arbite's files. Warriors corrupted by the warp, once the Emperor's finest, now turned against the Imperium, far more dangerous than cultists. The Alfred program calculated the threat assessment. Sir, previous encounters suggest this is beyond your capabilities. Bruce was already moving toward his armor stand.
Thanks for that.
I need to know what they're planning. Perhaps alerting the authorities would be wiser. By the time the Arbites mobilize, whatever ritual they're preparing will be complete. Bruce checked his equipment. Batarangs, grapnel launcher, smoke grenades, explosive charges, the power blade he had modified after the Daemon encounter. I can observe and disrupt if necessary. And if you encounter another Daemon, or worse, Bruce secured the last pieces of his batsuit, the familiar weight of the cowl settling over his features. Then I'll adapt. I always do. As Batman prepared to depart, a proximity alert sounded. Someone had triggered the outer perimeter sensors of his hideout. Multiple someones, moving with military precision. The cave's entrance exploded inward in a storm of lost fire and frag grenades. Batman rolled behind cover as Arbite's shock troops poured into the chamber, followed by the distinctive black armor of inquisitorial stormtroopers. Surrender in the name of the Emperor, came Magistrate Varos's amplified voice. You are surrounded. Batman triggered emergency countermeasures. Smoke dispensers filled the cave with dense fog, while sonic emitters disoriented the invaders. He needed to reach the secondary exit. A figure stepped through the smoke, apparently unaffected. Inquisitor Cade, her augmetic eyes cutting through the obscurement. "Impressive setup, Bruce Wayne," she said, surveying the equipment around her. "Or do you prefer Batman? We found records of your world in the warp echoes surrounding the Damon incursion." Batman kept to the shadows, moving silently toward the exit tunnel. Cade tracked his movement. "Your world is gone, you know. Consumed by the warp. There is no going back." She gestured around her. "This is your reality now, but it need not be your enemy." Batman paused. "You're lying." "Am I? You've seen what the warp can do. Entire worlds can be swallowed, their realities becoming nothing more than memories, fragments adrift in the immaterium." Cade took another step forward. "But you can still serve a purpose here. Your skills, your intellect. The Imperium has need of such weapons. I'm not a weapon. Everything is a weapon in service to mankind's survival." Cade holstered her pistol in a gesture of apparent trust. "I offer you legitimacy, resources, the authority of the Inquisition behind your crusade. At what cost? Obedience. The same demanded of every servant of the Emperor." The stormtroopers and Arbites had formed a perimeter, cutting off all escape routes. Varos approached, his hellgun trained on Batman. "You've done some good," the magistrate admitted grudgingly, "but no one is above Imperial law." Batman assessed his options. The Arbites could be evaded. The stormtroopers would be more difficult. Cade herself represented the greatest threat. A warning chimed in his cowl. The sensors he had placed at the cultist gathering were detecting a massive energy spike. Whatever ritual they had planned was accelerating. "There's no time for this," Batman said. "A chaos cult in Hive Secundus is about to attempt another demon summoning, larger than before." Cade's expression changed. "What evidence do you have?" Batman accessed the feed through his cowl, projecting the images onto a nearby screen. The cult gathering had grown. Dozens of robed figures surrounded a central platform where the armored Chaos Marine directed preparations. Captives were being brought forward, lined up for sacrifice. "Throne of Terror," Varos breathed. "There must be 100 cultists. And hundreds more potential victims," Batman added. "You can arrest me later. Right now, those people need help." Cade studied the feed with cold calculation. A Chaos Space Marine leading a mass ritual. The potential threat level exceeds local containment capabilities. She activated her Vox feed. "This is Inquisitor Cade. Priority Alpha. Deploy the kill team to these coordinates. Prepare for Class 3 warp incursion." She turned back to Batman. "It seems our discussion must be postponed. This threat takes precedence. I'm going," Batman stated. "Alone? Against a traitor Marine and his cult?" Varos scoffed. "That's suicide. I don't plan to engage directly. Disrupt the ritual. Free the captives." Cade considered him. "My kill team will take 20 minutes to deploy. The ritual appears to be progressing more rapidly than that." A thin smile. "Perhaps we can reach a temporary accommodation." Batman understood. "I slow them down, your team arrives for cleanup." "Precisely." Varos protested. "Inquisitor, we cannot simply release a criminal. Would you prefer to explain to Lord Helmar why half his hive was consumed by a warp rift?"
Wait a minute, like,
Kade dismissed his
can't
concerns
I
with a
just,
wave.
like,
"Besides,
store
Magistrate,
private
this is an
locker
opportunity
and
to observe
then
our vigilante in action,
when I get
to
to the
assess
place,
his
take
true
it back up?
capabilities."
Like,
Batman knew a
do?
trap when he saw one. The Inquisitor had no intention of letting him go after this was over, but the lives at
I'm not
stake
sure.
outweighed his freedom. "I'll need my equipment," he said. Cade nodded to her stormtroopers, who stepped back but kept their weapons ready. "I would advise against any heroics. The Chaos Marine is beyond your abilities." Batman gathered his most essential gear. "I faced worse. The ritual site was a massive cathedral to industry, once a central manufacturing hub for Hive Secundus before production had shifted elsewhere. Vaulted ceilings rose hundreds of meters above a floor the size of 4 landing pads. Enormous machinery stood silent, repurposed by the cultists into grotesque altars. Batman observed from a crumbling gantry high above. The Chaos Marine stood at the center of a complex pattern drawn in blood across the floor. Captives
I'll
knelt
see
in
if I can get my
concentric
bed in here.
circles around him, each with a cultist standing behind them, daggers ready. The Marine's armor was midnight blue, adorned with silver symbols that hurt the eye to look upon. His helmet was fashioned into the likeness of a snarling beast, with horns that curled upward like a crown of thorns.
What the?
Brothers and sisters, the Marine's voice boomed through the cathedral, amplified by his armor's vox. The stars align, the sleeper stirs. Today we open the path for our master's ascension. Batman activated the enhanced audio receptors in his cowl, isolating the Marine's words. The gateway requires blood. The gateway requires fear. The gateway requires a worthy adversary. The Marine raised a gauntleted hand, and I have provided all three. With dawning horror, Batman realized the truth. The previous ritual, the daemon that had recognized him, they hadn't been isolated incidents. They had been tests, measurements, and he had been the subject. The Marine continued. The strange...
Okay. This game is kind of weirdly predictive. What do we do to sync? Like, I don't know. Okay.
How you doing, baby?
Bill Bob. Let's see a bit of my beta fossil. Still wouldn't start laying down. However, if you wish to, then you'll have to do so from the specific time we used to them. Right, okay, that makes sense. Right, so V6 is actually expanding. Okay. download. Oh. This damage count repairs its containment desperate, right? Okay, good to know. Vehicle spot near that can be stolen again. Delivery terminal. Right, okay. So jag tidigt och ta in och arbetsmarknaden, right. Okay, the question is, how did I get into the driving range? You gotta get back in. Access tunnel. Delivery tunnel. Some of people just go in there, Don.
Thank you for your contribution.
Not neat. Okay. No. Okay, so when it comes to the fact that we now have no base. Alright, so how's that? Shit, I can't drive any of these.
Have a pleasant turn. Have a pleasant turn.
Name's Sam.
Alright, that means fucking trying like that.
Weapons restrictions lifted.
Thanks for the help. Yeah, this is nice.
mean, it looks actually on point. Alright. Definitely feel it. Well, actually, like, look how fast I just walk. A lot of last one area. And then that.
This one's for you.
I think it's a push box, but I'm not sure. I don't really. Shit, did I leave it? Oh no, I can't maybe leave all that shit in there, bro. I probably did though. I thought it was fucking good. Back there as well. I'm not a young man. I'll do that. I'm going to probably go up there if you will.
Scanning bridges ID. Verifying ID. Clear. Weapons detected. All weapons welcome to capital not safe. Proceed to distribution center.
There we go, come on. Gotta change that bit over here as well. Also, I can afford to put in this version. Alright, that went raw smooth there. So that's considering.
Creature from beyond the warp carries fear in his heart like no other in this realm. It sustains him, defines him, makes him powerful. The helmet turned, looking directly at Batman's position. And he is here, as I knew he would be. Every colonist turned to look upward. Batman had been detected despite his precautions. The Marine had known he would come. The Batman, the Marine intoned. The final component in our ritual sees him. Cultists armed with crude firearms opened fire on Batman's position. He was already moving, swinging to another vantage point as bullets tore through the metal where he had been. The Chaos Marine laughed. Run, Batman. Your fear feeds the ritual. Your resistance strengthens the gateway. Batman needed to disrupt the blood pattern on the floor. He fired his grapnel gun at one of the massive hanging chains that once moved machinery. Swinging in a wide arc, he released at the apex, hurling a cluster of explosive batarangs toward the center of the pattern. The devices never reached their target. They froze in midair, suspended by an unseen force, then disintegrated into dust. Your weapons are useless here, the Marine called. The veil between realities thins. The warp's power grows. Batman landed on another gantry and assessed the situation. Direct attack wouldn't work. He needed to free the captives, remove the sacrifices from the equation. He fired his grapnel again, this time aiming for a position directly above the outermost ring of prisoners. As he swung over them, he dropped smoke grenades and flashbangs, creating chaos among the cultists. Landing among the captives, he began cutting their bonds with swift, precise movements of a blade. "Run," he ordered the freed prisoners. "Head for the east exit." Cultists swarmed toward him, firing wildly. Batman moved through them like a shadow, striking with calculated efficiency. Each blow disarmed or disabled, but did not kill. Even here, even now, some lines could not be crossed. The Marine observed from the center, making no move to intervene. "Your moral code is fascinating," he called. "So rigid in a universe of such magnificent cruelty. No wonder the warp brought you here. Such delicious contradiction." Batman had freed nearly 20 prisoners when he felt the change in the air. A heaviness, a pressure behind his eyes. The blood pattern on the floor began to glow with sickly light. "Too late," the Marine announced. "The gateway opens. The sleeper awakens." The air split open at the center of the pattern, a vertical tear in reality itself. Through it came a sound like a trillion voices screaming in unison. The remaining captives convulsed, blood pouring from their eyes and ears. Batman had to close the rift before whatever lay beyond could fully manifest. He triggered his grapnel, aiming for the Marine. If the traitor was controlling the ritual, eliminating him might disrupt it. The grapnel hook struck the Marine's armor and latched on. Batman launched himself forward, rocketing toward his target. The Marine turned, his helmet's red lenses flaring with amusement. "Come then, Knight of a Dead World," he growled. Batman collided with the Marine at full speed, the impact jarring every bone in his body, like hitting a wall of adamantium. The Marine didn't budge, merely reaching up to grasp Batman by the throat with a ceramite gauntlet. "Your fear sustains me," the Marine hissed, lifting Batman off his feet. The fear of a man who watched his parents die built his life around that moment of terror. Batman drove his modified power blade into a joint of the Marine's armor. The weapon penetrated slightly before snapping against the ancient ceramite. The Marine laughed. "I was forged in the crucible of the Horus Heresy. I have killed space Marines in their hundreds. What hope have you?" With contemptuous ease, he hurled Batman across the chamber. Bruce crashed through a rusted control panel, his reinforced armor absorbing some of the impact, but not enough. Ribs cracked. Internal bleeding likely. The suit's medical systems injected stimulants and pain suppressants automatically. The rift widened. Tendrils of impossible geometry reached through, probing the cathedral's air. Where they touched, reality distorted. Metal rusted instantly. Flesh transformed into crystal, then dust. Batman forced himself to his feet. Direct confrontation had failed. He needed another approach. The pattern on the floor drew attention. The bloodlines formed a circuit of sorts, channeling energy toward the rift. If he could disrupt enough of the pattern, he fired his grapnel again, this time at a massive coolant tank suspended above the ritual site. The hook punctured the ancient metal, and Batman triggered the winch at maximum power. The corroded bolts holding the tank gave way with a shriek of tortured metal. Thousands of liters of toxic chemical poured down, washing away sections of the blood pattern. The effect was immediate. The rift contracted slightly, the tendrils withdrawing. The Marine roared in fury. "Defiler, the gateway must remain open." Batman used the distraction to move among the remaining captives, freeing as many as he could. The cultists were in disarray, some fleeing, others trying to maintain the ritual by cutting their own flesh to restore the pattern. The Marine strode through the chemical flood, unaffected by the caustic substance. His armor's surface rippled with unnatural energy as he fixed his gaze on Batman. "You cannot stop what is already in motion," he snarled. "The sleeper has tasted this reality. It will find another way through." Batman threw his remaining explosive batarangs at the structural supports above the Marine. The detonations brought down tons of ferrocrete and metal. The Marine disappeared beneath the avalanche. For a moment, Batman thought he had succeeded. Then the rubble exploded outward as the Marine emerged, his armor dented but intact. In his hand he held a massive chain axe that roared to life with a belch of exhaust. Enough games, the Marine growled, advancing on Batman. Your skull will adorn my trophy rack. Batman was out of options. His weapons were depleted, his body damaged, the remaining captives still in danger. He backed away, searching for any advantage, any weakness in his opponent. The cathedral's main doors exploded inward. Armored figures stormed through the breach, weapons blazing. Inquisitor Kane's kill team had arrived. Stormtroopers in carapace armor spread out in practiced formation, their hell guns cutting down cultists with surgical precision. Behind them came more heavily armed operatives. An Adeptus Mechanicus tech priest, his mechanical limbs wielding exotic weaponry. Two power-armored figures that Batman recognized from Heretics files as Sisters of Battle, their armor adorned with symbols of the Imperial faith, and at their center, Inquisitor Cade herself, now clad in ornate power armor of her own, a force sword crackling with energy in her hand. Traitor, she called to the Marine, your heresy ends here. The Marine turned to face this new threat, chain axe raised. Inquisitor Cade, still the Emperor's loyal dog, have you told your companions about your collection of forbidden texts? Your experiments with Xenos technology? Silence, heretic. Cade advanced, her kill team spreading out to flank the Marine. By the authority of the Emperor's Holy Inquisition, I condemn you to death. The Marine laughed, the sound distorted through his helmet's box. Death rejected me millennia ago, witch hunter. The rift pulsed, growing wider despite the disrupted pattern. The tendril re-emerged, more substantial than before. One lashed out at a stormtrooper, hunting through his carapace armor as if it weren't there. The man screamed as his body twisted inside out, bones becoming a cage around liquefied organs. The sleeper comes, the Marine intoned. This world will be consumed, as all worlds must be. Cade signaled to the tech priest. Magos, the null device. The tech priest unfolded a device from within his robes, a black cube inscribed with silver circuits. He placed it on the floor and intoned a series of binary counts. The cube opened like a blooming flower, revealing a pulsing crystal at its heart. The effect on the rift was immediate. It contracted violently, the tendrils withdrawing as it burned. The Marine staggered, his armor's warp-enhanced systems fluctuating. Blackstone, he snarled. You dare use the Pariah Stone? Batman recognized the technology from his research. Blackstone, or Noctilus, a material that repelled warp energy. The Imperium used it in containment devices and null fields. Cade smiled coldly. Not just Blackstone, traitor. A null matrix calibrated specifically for entities of the sleeper's resonance frequency. She turned to Batman. Thanks to the data we extracted from your surveillance devices. The Marine roared in rage and charged toward the tech priest, his chain axe raised to destroy the null device. The Sisters of Battle intercepted him, their power weapons striking his armor with incredible force. Sparks flew as blessed adamantium met corrupted ceramite. Batman used the distraction to free the last of the captives, directing them toward the exit where Arbites were establishing a cordon. Magistrate Barros coordinated the evacuation, his face grim as he witnessed the battle unfolding inside. The Marine fought with inhuman skill, his chain axe a blur of motion. One sister fell, her armor split from shoulder to hip. The other maintained her assault, her neural whip wrapping around the Marine's weapon arm, disrupting his movement momentarily. Batman saw his opportunity. The Marine's armor had been damaged in their earlier encounter, with a significant rent in the backplate, a vulnerable point. He retrieved his last functioning tool, a modified melter charge taken from an Arbites armory. Designed to breach reinforced doors, it might be enough to penetrate the weakened armor. He moved silently around the periphery of the battle, approaching the Marine from behind as the traitor struggled with the Sister of Battle. The tech priest maintained the null device, his mechadendrites extending its field while stormtroopers provided covering fire. Batman leapt onto the Marine's back, driving the melter charge into the damaged section of armor. The Marine reached back, trying to dislodge him. "You persist, vermin," the traitor growled. "Your world is dust. Your crusade meaningless." Batman activated the charge. "This isn't about my world," he said. "It's about protecting this one." He kicked away from the Marine as the melter charge detonated. The focused thermal explosion melted through the weakened armor, burning into the corrupted flesh beneath. The Marine staggered but remained standing, ichor leaking from the wound. "Impressive," the traitor admitted, "but insufficient." The rift pulsed again, fighting against the null field. Reality strained around them as two opposing forces contested for dominance. The cathedral itself began to roar, support columns twisting into impossible shapes. Inquisitor Cade approached the struggling Marine, her force sword held high. "In the Emperor's name," she intoned, bringing the weapon down in a perfect arc. The Marine caught the blade with his gauntleted hand, ceramite fingers smoking where they touched the energized weapon. "Your Emperor is a corpse on a throne," he spat. And soon, not even that, with his free hand, he raised his chain axe toward Cade's head. Batman fired his grapnel at the weapon, the hook wrapping around the axe's haft and pulling it off target. The distraction was enough. Cade wrenched her sword free and thrust it through the wound in the Marine's armor. The traitor convulsed as the blessed weapon penetrated his corrupted body. Warp energy discharged in crackling arcs across his armor. He dropped to one knee, black fluid pouring from his helmet's box grill. "Fool," the Marine gasped. "Kill this body. The sleeper still comes. The gateway is open. The ritual complete." Indeed, despite the null device, the rift continued to widen. The Blackstone's effect was weakening as something pushed against it from the other side. A vast presence that Batman could feel pressing against his mind, ancient and hungry. Magos, Cade called. Maximum power to the null matrix. The tech priest chittered binary code, his mechadendrites interfacing directly with the device. The crystal at its heart glowed brighter, but cracks appeared in its surface. "Overload imminent," the tech priest warned. "Field collapse in 30 seconds. Batman surveyed the chamber, searching for another solution. His gaze fell on the Marine's armor, specifically the symbols etched into its surface. They matched those in the blood pattern on the floor, forming part of the same circuit. The armor itself was part of the ritual. "The armor is maintaining the connection," he called to Cade. "It's a conduit." Cade understood immediately. "Remove his armor, quickly." The remaining Sister of Battle and two stormtroopers moved to restrain the wounded Marine. Batman joined them, applying a nerve strike technique to the exposed flesh at the traitor's neck. The Marine's enhanced physiology resisted, but the combined assault overwhelmed him. Together they tore away pieces of the corrupted armor. Each plate removed caused the rift to contract slightly. The Marine struggled with fading strength. "The sleeper knows you now," he said to Batman. "Knows your fear, your weakness. It will find you across realities." Batman removed the Marine's helmet, revealing a face so corrupted by the warp that it barely resembled anything human. One eye had been replaced by a cluster of smaller eyes, the skin translucent enough to show the skull beneath. "Your fear is a beacon," the Marine whispered, "the brightest I have ever seen." The null device shattered, its crystal burned out. For a moment, the rift expanded dramatically, a vast eye seeming to peer through from the other side. Batman felt it looking at him, recognizing him. Then, as the last piece of the Marine's armor was torn away, the rift collapsed with a thunderclap of imploding air. The Marine's body dissolved into ash, leaving only the corrupted armor pieces scattered across the blood-soaked floor. Silence fell across the cathedral. Inquisitor Cade sheathed her force sword and approached Batman. "Well done," she said, "though I suspect you knew the armor was a conduit before I did." Batman didn't answer. He was staring at the spot where the rift had been. For a brief moment, when the vast presence had looked at him, he had seen something. Not just the alien intelligence of the sleeper, but beyond it. Other realities, other versions of Earth, of Gotham, of home. "The traitor's words troubled you," Cade observed, "about your world being dust. Is it true? Batman asked. Can the warp destroy entire realities? Cade's expression was unreadable. The warp defies conventional understanding. Worlds can be consumed, yes, but whether your Earth is truly gone or merely inaccessible. She shrugged. That is beyond even the Inquisition's knowledge. Stormtroopers were securing the site, executing wounded cultists and collecting the corrupted armor pieces for containment. The tech priest examined the remnants of the rift with esoteric instruments. What happens now? Batman asked, though he already knew the answer. Now? Cade smiled thinly. Now we have a more civilized discussion about your future in the Imperium. Batman tensed, ready for the inevitable betrayal. But instead of signaling her troops to seize him, Cade continued speaking. You've proven yourself useful. More than that, you've demonstrated a remarkable ability to adapt to our reality, to understand its threats and develop countermeasures. She gestured to the cathedral around them. This cult would have succeeded without your intervention. The Arbites would have been too late. Even my kill team might have failed against a fully manifested daemon. I won't become your weapon, Batman stated flatly. No. Then what will you become on this world? A vigilante of the Underhive until some ganger gets lucky. A hunted fugitive forever evading Imperial justice? Cade's augmetic eyes studied him. Or perhaps something more. Something that could make a real difference in this broken Imperium. Before Batman could respond, Magistrate Varos approached, his hellgun held ready but not aimed directly at Batman. The perimeter is secure, Inquisitor, he reported. Survivors have been quarantined for interrogation. Lord Helmore's representatives are demanding an explanation for the deployment of inquisitorial assets without prior notification. Politics, Cade sighed. Always politics. Tell them I'll provide a full briefing once the site is properly contained. She turned back to Batman. Consider my offer. The Imperium has need of men like you. Men who understand that sometimes justice must operate in the shadows. Batman remained silent, calculating odds, evaluating options. Cooperation with the Inquisition was dangerous. Their methods were extreme, their moral compass questionable at best. But they also had resources he needed. Knowledge of the world. Technology that might help him find a way home. If home still existed. I need time, he said finally. Cade nodded. 3 days, then I expect your answer. She gestured to her troops to withdraw. You're free to go for now. Consider it a gesture of good faith. As Batman turned to leave, Barrow stepped forward. Wait, the magistrate said. I need to know something. Batman paused. You've operated in my jurisdiction for months, disrupted criminal operations, saved lives, all while avoiding Imperial authorities. Varos's expression was conflicted. Why? What drives a man to risk everything for strangers in a world not his own? Batman considered the question. In this nightmare reality of the 41st millennium, where human life was cheap and cruelty was commonplace, the answer seemed more important than ever. Because someone has to stand against the darkness, he said simply. Even here, especially here. He fired his grapnel at the cathedral's vaulted ceiling and vanished into the shadows above, leaving Varos staring after him. In the days that followed, stories of the Batman's clash with demonic forces spread through Hive Primus. In the Underhive, he was elevated from vigilante to legend, a dark guardian who would save the Hive from destruction. In the mid-levels, merchants and guild workers left offerings at crude shrines bearing his symbol. In the upper spire,
Which one's got? I've gone to favourites, okay. Yeah, it's got one, right.
Noble houses whispered of a new power rising from below,
Thank you for your
neither
contribution.
imperial nor heretical, but something altogether different. Lord Helmore summoned his council to address the growing cult of personality. This cannot continue, he declared. One man defying imperial authority, inspiring others to do the same. It threatens the very foundation of our society. The common folk see him as a hero, Councillor Varun observed, particularly after the cult incident. Heroes are dangerous, Helmar replied. They make people hope for better than their station. They make people question why their appointed leaders cannot achieve what one man can. In her quarters within the inquisitorial compound, Cade reviewed the data collected from Batman's cave. His technology was fascinating, a blend of recognizable imperial science and entirely novel approaches. His methodical documentation of criminal networks throughout the hive was more comprehensive than anything the Arbites had compiled in decades. Most interesting were his theoretical designs for a device to detect and potentially interact with warp anomalies. The technical understanding displayed was remarkable for someone with no formal training in imperial science. If properly developed, such technology could revolutionize the Inquisition's approach to demonic incursions. Her vox bead chimed. Inquisitor, came the voice of her acolyte. We have reports of unusual activity at the old Mechanicus shrine in Hive Tertius. Energy signatures matching those from the cathedral incident. Cade frowned. Another cult? Unclear. But the pattern is similar, and there have been sightings of the vigilante in that sector. So, Batman was investigating independently. Unsurprising, but concerning. If another warp entity was attempting to manifest, his presence might accelerate the process, especially if the sleeper had indeed marked him somehow. Prepare the kill team, Cade ordered, and contact Magistrate Varos. His knowledge of the hive's layout will be useful. Yes, Inquisitor. And if we encounter the Batman? Cade considered. Capture if possible. But the warp incursion takes priority. In the abandoned Mechanicus shrine, Batman moved silently through corridors lined with dead machinery. His cowl's sensors detected unusual energy readings emanating from the central chamber, similar to those preceding the rift at the cathedral. But there were no cultists here, no ritual preparations, just the steady pulse of something awakening. The shrine had been dedicated to the machine god thousands of years ago, before being abandoned during a hive rebellion. Ancient tech, forgotten by the Mechanicus, still lined the walls. Servo skulls lay shattered on the floor. Cogitator banks stood silent, their machine spirits long departed. At the center of the main chamber, Batman found the source of the energy readings. A small tear in reality, barely visible to the naked eye, pulsed with the same sickly light as the rift in the cathedral. But this one appeared stable, controlled somehow. As he approached, the tear widened slightly. Through it, Batman glimpsed fragments of another place. Tall buildings, dark streets. For a moment, he thought he saw the silhouette of a city skyline that achingly resembled Gotham. Home, he whispered. Not quite, came a voice from behind him. Batman whirled to find Inquisitor Cade standing in the chamber entrance, flanked by her kill team. Magistrate Varos stood among them, his expression grim. What you're seeing is an echo, Cade continued, approaching carefully. A reflection of your memories, given form by the warp's interaction with your mind. Batman positioned himself between Cade and the rift. You knew this was here. I suspected. Cade gestured to the ancient technology surrounding them. This shrine houses forgotten archaeotech that the Mechanicus deemed too dangerous to retrieve. Technology that, according to certain forbidden texts, could be used to create stable passages through the immaterium. Passages to other realities? Theoretically. Cade studied the small rift with professional interest, though the process would be incredibly dangerous. The warp is not a neutral
I've had
medium.
this
It's
idea
alive
that
in its way. Malevolent. It twists
I don't know,
everything it
mad
touches.
mechanism might somehow be
Batman's
his
mind
dad, because I
raced.
thought it'd be like
If there
time
was even a
dilation and stuff like
possibility
that,
of
so yeah,
returning
so
home, the
what
Marine
if
said
he
my
is
world
actually
was
the,
dust.
what if he
Chaos
is
Marines
BB?
lie as easily as
What
they
do you think?
breathe,
I don't know.
Cade pointed out.
That's a weird
Though
game,
in
but
this case, he
I
may
don't
have
know. Explore
believed what
better
he
if you
said.
think so.
The warp distorts perception as well as reality. Varos stepped forward.
Alright.
Inquisitor,
Doing part of
we should seal this breach immediately. The danger is precisely why I'm here, Magistrate. Cade turned back to Batman. This rift appeared shortly after the cathedral incident. I believe it's connected to you, to your presence in our reality. Explain, Batman demanded. The warp responds to powerful minds, powerful emotions. Yours qualify as both. Cade circled the rift, examining it from different angles. Your fear, as the Marine observed, is remarkable. Focused, disciplined. In your case, it doesn't weaken you but strengthens you. The warp finds this fascinating. The warp isn't sentient, Varos objected. Isn't it? Cade smiled thinly. The entities within it certainly are, and they have taken notice of our visitor. Batman recalled the sensation of being observed by something vast and ancient through the cathedral rift. The sleeper, perhaps, or something else entirely. Cade gestured to the tech priest among her retinue. Magos Dorn has been studying the anomaly. His conclusions are interesting. The tech priest stepped forward, his numerous augmetic eyes focusing and refocusing on the rift. The breach exhibits signs of quantum entanglement with a parallel dimensional state, he intoned, his voice a blend of human speech and machine code. Initial analysis suggests bidirectional transit potential with proper stabilization protocols. Batman translated the technical jargon. It could become a doorway. With the right technology, Cade agreed. Technology the Inquisition possesses, or could develop based on your designs. Now Batman understood. This is your offer. Help me get home in exchange for my service. A mutually beneficial arrangement. Cade's augmetic eyes gleamed. You assist the Imperium with your unique skills and perspective. Provide the resources to develop a stable transit mechanism. Varos looked alarmed. Inquisitor, creating warp gates is explicitly forbidden by Imperial decree. The risks of demonic incursion alone. The Inquisition operates beyond such restrictions when necessary, Magistrate. Cade dismissed his concerns. Besides, we wouldn't be creating a conventional warp gate, more of a specialized extraction. Batman studied the rift again. The glimpses of Gotham had faded, replaced by swirling patterns of light. Was it truly possible? Or was Cade manipulating him, offering an impossible hope to secure his cooperation? If I refuse, he asked, then we close this breach permanently. Cade's tone hardened. And you remain here, either as a sanctioned agent of the Imperium, or as a fugitive. Those are your only options now. The cult of personality you've inspired cannot be permitted to grow unchecked. Batman considered his position. Working with the Inquisition meant compromising his principles, becoming part of a system built on fear and oppression. Refusing meant abandoning any hope of returning to Gotham, to his mission there. But there was a third option. One Cade hadn't considered. I need time to consider, he said. Cade nodded. 24 hours. No more. She gestured to her kill team to withdraw. The shrine will remain under inquisitorial guard. Don't attempt anything foolish. As they departed, Varos lingered behind. For what it's worth, the magistrate said quietly, there are those in the Arbites who believe you've done more good than harm. see that your methods, while outside our laws, serve its ultimate purpose. Batman said nothing, but the Inquisitor is right about one thing, Burroughs continued. The story's spreading through the hive, the shrines, the offerings. It's becoming something dangerous. Something that could spark conflict in an already unstable society. I never asked to be worshipped, Batman said. Few who become icons do. Burroughs turned to leave. Whatever you decide, know that Necromunda will remember the Batman for better or worse. After Burroughs departed, Batman examined the rim more closely. His cowl's sensors recorded its energy patterns, comparing them to the data he had gathered from the cathedral incident. There were similarities, but also crucial differences. This breach was stable, controlled, and it responded to his presence, widening slightly when he moved closer. The Chaos Marine's words echoed in his mind. Your fear is a beacon, the brightest I have ever seen. What if the Marine had been telling the truth? What if Batman's presence in this reality was not random but deliberate? A being of fear brought to the universe where fear held tangible power.
Holy shit!
He returned to his cave to analyze the data and make preparations. The Alfred program processed the sensor readings while Bruce reviewed everything he had learned about the warp since his arrival. The rift's energy signature matches theoretical models for controlled warp gates, the program reported. However, stability metrics indicate significant fluctuation when you approached it. It responds to me, Bruce concluded, to my thoughts, my emotions. A disturbing implication, sir. If your mind can influence warp phenomena, then I'm connected to whatever brought me here. Bruce studied the data patterns. The sleeper, the marine, cave, they all believe I have some special relationship with the warp. That my fear makes me unique in this reality. And do you believe that, Master Bruce? Bruce considered the question. Fear had defined his life since that night in Crime Alley. He had mastered it, weaponized it, turned it against those who would prey on the innocent. In Gotham, that meant criminals, corrupt officials, the occasional supervillain. But here, in the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, fear was the currency of existence. The Imperium ruled from fear. The war fed on fear. Even the machine god servants approached their deity with fearful reverence. I believe I don't belong here, Bruce said finally, and that there may be a way back. The Inquisitor's offer is a trap. She has no intention of sending me home. I'm too valuable as an asset. Bruce began assembling equipment, but she's right about one thing. The rift is connected to me, which means I might be able to control it. The right technology. Sir, attempting to manipulate warp phenomena without proper safeguards would be extraordinarily dangerous. I know. Bruce loaded his most essential gear. That's why I'm going to steal what I need from the Inquisition. The Inquisitorial compound was among the most heavily fortified structures in Hive Mines. Located in the upper mid-levels, it was separated from surrounding buildings by a kill zone monitored by Auspex arrays and automated defense turrets. Stormtroopers patrolled its perimeter while more specialized guardians lurked within. Batman had spent weeks mapping its security systems through careful observation and data intercepted from Arbite's networks. There were gaps in his knowledge, but he had infiltrated more secure facilities with less information. He approached from above, using maintenance ducts that connected the compound's life support systems to the Hive's main atmospheric processors. These ducts were technically outside the compound's security perimeter, considered inaccessible due to their narrow dimensions and toxic environment. Batman's rebreather filtered the poisonous gases as he crawled through spaces barely large enough for his armored form. His cowl's thermal imaging revealed the heat signatures of guards and security systems beyond the metal walls. After 30 minutes of careful navigation, he reached a junction that connected to the compound's storage levels. According to intercepted data, Cade had established a research laboratory there to study artifacts recovered from the cathedral site, including pieces of the Chaos Marine's armor. Batman cut through the junction's access panel with a laser cutter, careful to avoid triggering pressure sensors. Beyond lay a maintenance corridor used by servitors to access environmental systems. He moved quickly but silently through the empty passage, until he reached a security door marked with inquisitorial symbols. The door's lock was a combination of mechanical and digital systems designed to resist both conventional bypassing and cogitator hacking.
You're trying to put the...
Batman attached a device of his own design to the control panel, a modified Auspex that would detect and replicate authorized access patterns. After 2 tense minutes, the door clicked open. Batman slipped through into a dimly lit chamber filled with containment cells. Each cell housed objects of various sizes, all surrounded by stasis fields or null barriers. He moved past cells containing alien artifacts, forbidden texts, and what appeared to be severed Xenos lines preserved in his target.
What have we got? What have we got?
Likely under additional surveillance. At the chamber's far end stood a reinforced door with multiple warning symbols. Batman's sensors detected energy signatures similar to those in the shrine, but more concentrated. Whatever lay beyond that door was powerful enough to warrant exceptional containment. The door required both biometric authentication and a physical key. Batman had prepared for the former, using synthetic fingerprint film and a voice modulator tuned to Cade's vocal patterns. The latter would be more challenging. He scanned the chamber, looking for clues. An Inquisitor would never leave such a key unsecured, but might keep it close, perhaps in her personal quarters, or entrusted to a senior acolyte. His search was interrupted by a soft mechanized whirring. A servitor emerged from an alcove, its partially organic body fused with maintenance equipment. Its blank eyes passed over Batman without recognition as it began checking fluid levels in the containment cells. Batman remained motionless. Most servitors had limited programming, focused solely on their assigned tasks. Unless specifically instructed to identify intruders, this one might ignore him entirely. The servitor paused before the reinforced door, then extended a mechadendrite from its torso. The appendage transformed, revealing a complex key mechanism that had inserted into the door's lock. Batman acted quickly. He struck the servitor at the base of its skull with a precise nerve strike that temporarily disrupted its control systems. As the cyborg collapsed, he carefully removed the key mechanism from its mechadendrite. The door unlocked with a series of heavy clicks. Batman entered a circular chamber dominated by a black pedestal at its center. On the pedestal sat a containment box inscribed with warning runes. His sensors confirmed that inside was a fragment of the Chaos Marine's armor, specifically a portion of the helmet that had been...
Good morning, Sam. Blood collection complete. Thank you for your generosity.
Grenade number 0.
reality-bending symbols. Batman approached cautiously. The containment box was secured with additional locks, but these were standard inquisitorial patterns he had encountered before. He bypassed them methodically, opening the box to reveal a jagged piece of ceramite that seemed to absorb light from its surroundings. As he reached for the fragment, alarms blared throughout the compound, not from his actions, but from...
Our little secret. I got my hands on something special. Patamo traché concru. I might make the test somewhere you wrote them. A toast to Lisa. And to you. Not bad.
Beginning scan. Have a pleasant journey.
Good morning, Sam.
Well, I think we'll do is we will make that delivery up there, and then we'll go to check the port hill.
Weapons restrictions lifted.
Yeah, gun is there. Yeah, they're done there. Ah, well, fuck it. This is so much easier than the last time.
Keep on keeping on. Safe travels.
I think I got a lot of it. Also,
somewhere else in the facility, a distraction but one he could use. Batman secured the armor fragment in a specialized container designed to block warp emanations, then made his way back to the maintenance corridor. The compound was now in full alert, with stormtroopers rushing to secure key areas. He moved counter to their patterns, using their own defensive protocols to predict safe passage routes. He had nearly reached his extraction point when a voice called from behind him. I'm disappointed but not surprised. Batman turned to find Inquisitor Cade standing alone in the corridor, her power overcoming his contained energy. Her force sword remained sheathed, but her hand rested on its hilt. Did you think I wouldn't anticipate this? She asked. That I wouldn't have the compound security adjusted specifically for your methods? Batman said nothing. He had considered the possibility of a trap, but the risk was necessary. The alarm was a test, Cade continued. You said you would take the bait. You did. She glanced at the container in his hand. The armor fragment. You believe it will give you control sense. Cade took a step forward, but incomplete without the knowledge to use it properly. Knowledge only the Inquisition possesses. I'll find my own way. At what cost? How many lives are you willing to risk for your return to a world that may no longer exist? Cade's expression hardened. Words are a tool to be used, Batman. It uses you. Always. Footsteps echoed from both ends of the corridor as stormtroopers approached. Batman was warned. Last chance, Cade offered. Work with me. We can find a solution together, one that serves both our interests. Batman calculated his options. Fighting would be futile against so many armed opponents in a confined space. Surrender meant losing his only chance at returning home. I can't trust you, he said simply. Cade sighed. No, I suppose not. She drew her force sword. You leave me no choice. Before she could advance, the corridor lights flickered and died. Emergency lumens activated, casting red shadows across the rooms. A distant explosion shook the compound, followed by the distinctive sound of gunfire. Cade's Vox bead crackled. Inquisitor, came a panicked voice. We're under attack. Multiple hostiles breaching the east perimeter. They're using warp sorcery. Cade's expression darkened. The cult. They followed us here. She glared at Batman. This isn't over. Then she turned and ran toward the sound of battle, barking orders into her Vox bead. Batman seized the opportunity, moving swiftly toward his extraction point. The compound had descended into chaos, with security forces diverted to counter the unexpected attack. He reached a ventilation shaft that would lead him back to the atmospheric processors and freedom beyond. As he secured his grapnel to begin the ascent, Magistrate Varos appeared at the corridor junction, Hellgun raised. Stop right there, the Arbeits officer commanded. Batman paused. You should be helping Cade. The cult has returned, and you're taking advantage of the situation to steal inquisitorial property. Varos kept his weapon trained on Batman. I thought you were better than that. This isn't about theft, Batman countered. It's about preventing something worse. Explain. The rift at the shrine is growing stronger. The Inquisition wants to study it, maybe weaponize it. They don't understand what they're dealing with. Another explosion rocked the compound, closer this time. Varos glanced toward the sound, his discipline warring with concern for his fellow officers. Why should I believe you over an Imperial Inquisitor? Because you've seen what I do, Batman said. How I operate. I don't kill. I protect the innocent. Even here, even in this world, that principle hasn't changed. Varos hesitated, his hellgun lowering slightly. And what do you intend to do with that artifact? Close the rift permanently. End the threat and bring more people.
Danger.
For a long moment, Varos stood in silence, weighing his duty against his instincts. Finally, he lowered his weapon. Wait, he said. But know this. If you're lying, if your actions bring harm to Necromunda, I will hunt you to the end of the line. I would expect nothing less. Batman replied. Varos stepped aside. He needs to make security is focused on the lead. Batman nodded in acknowledgement of Prince, pulling up the ventilation. Varos watched him closely, then turned toward the sound of battle. His duty to the Imperial Inquisitor. The journey back to the Valhalla Shrine was fraught with danger. The cult attack on the Inquisitorial compound had triggered heightened security and weapon. Arbeits were trying to stretch their their lines, while Noble House forces secured their territories against potential threats. Batman moved maintenance tunnels and abandoned transit lines, avoiding the main thoroughfares. The armor fragments contained in box emitting trace energy. A faint resonance that seemed to pulse in rhythm with his own heartbeat. By the time he reached the shrine, dawn was breaking over high walls. Its polluted light filtering through ancient ventilation shafts. To his surprise, the Inquisitorial guards Cade had promised were absent. Either the cult attack had forced her to reassign them, or something else had occurred. The enemies showed signs of recent violence. Gus burns filled the walls, and blood stained the floor. Batman moved cautiously, his cowl senses scanning for life signs or energy anomalies. Connected, as he had suspected, two pieces of the same puzzle. Batman set up the equipment he had bought, modified scanning devices to monitor the rift's stability, a prototype null generated reverse engineered for Inquisitor. And most importantly, a device of his own design intended to focus and direct the energy connection between the armor fragment and the rift. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Batman turned to find a robed figure standing at the chamber entrance. Not a cultist, but a tall woman with shaved head and elaborate facial tattoos. She wore the robes of a sanctioned sniper, her eyes glowing faintly with warp energy. The Inquisitor sent you. Stated, no, I came on my own accord. The sniper entered the chamber, gaze fixed on the rift rather than Batman. My name is Escher. I serve the Imperium, but I also serve you. The truth is that you do not understand what you are taking. Explain. Escher circled the rift, maintaining a respectful distance. This breach is not a simple gateway between realities. It is a silent resonance point. The manifestation of your own connection to the world. You have no connection to the rift, Batman insisted. Every human being does, but yours is unusual. Escher studied him with glowing eyes. Your mind is disciplined, focused to an extraordinary degree. Your fear, rather than weakening you, has been forged into a weapon. In your reality, this made you formidable. In yours, it makes you dangerous. Batman considered her eyes. Queen said something simply. He was not wrong. Queen's back were prone to powerful emotions. Born to rage, furious day, astonished desire. But fear, disciplined fear, is rare. It attracts other entities. The sleeper, Escher nodded, an ancient consciousness that dwells in the spaces between realities. Neither David nor God, but something older. Something that remembers the time before the Chaos Gods, before the warp was corrupted by mortal emotion. Batman glanced at the rift, expressed their conversation, and it brought me here. Perhaps you're a novel awakening. Escher approached one of his scanning devices, examining it with professional curiosity. The technology is fascinating, primitive in some ways, advanced in others. Like you, it doesn't belong here. Is my world still there? Escher's expression softened slightly. The moment grows in front. Immediately increases, but when you return to the exact moment it takes you out, then closer. Batman activated analysis, beginning the preparation process. I have to try, even at the risk of allowing the sleeper passage into your world. There needs something better. Escher pointed to the other compartment. That object is tainted. Using it to manipulate the rift without consequences. Batman paused, considering one thing, the desperate need to return, to continue his mission of God, that brought them to this point. It opened the way for immense danger in both realities. As the liberation was interrupted by the sound of approaching footsteps. Multiple sets, moving with military precision. Inquisitor Cade appeared at the entrance, her armor battle damaged quickly. Behind her came Storm, straight force, space marine, and Roger, he said to Batman. She gestured to the left. Let's eliminate the first one. And test, ready for combat. Just straight runways. The Imperial touched. Though, I admit, your theory about its connection to the rift has merit. Varos met Batman's accusing gaze without flinching. I said I would hurt you if you brought harm to the Commander. The prototype made it clear the danger was real. Escher stepped forward. Inquisitor, the situation is more complex than you realize. The breach connects to more than just another reality. It touches the domain of the entity you call the Sleeper. Cade's expression hardened. Psyker Escher, I might have known you would involve yourself. Your order honors theories about multiversal threats stand before proof of my warnings. Escher gestured to the rift. This breach grows stronger by the hour. Soon it will be beyond our ability to contain. The rift pulsed as if in response to her words, the images beyond becoming clearer. Gotham City appeared in greater detail, its dark streets and towering buildings momentarily stable before dissolving into chaotic patterns again. Batman made a decision. I need to close it, permanently. Agreed, said Kate, but not with stolen technology and guesswork. My tech priests have developed a containment protocol specifically for this type of warfare. The protocol will trap the energy rather than disperse it, Escher objected. A temporary solution at best, better than risking a full incursion. Kate turned to her stormtroopers. Secure the perimeter. No one enters or leaves until the breach is sealed. As the troops moved to obey, a truck rammed into the shrine. Dust fell from each box and metal groaned under sudden stress. The rift expanded violently, doubling in size in an instant. Through it came an inhuman howl that caused the Psyker Escher to cry out in pain, clutching her head. It comes, she gasped. The sleeper awakens fully. Emerged tendrils of darkness that moved with liquid grace. Where they touched the shrine's floor, metal corroded instantly into dust. The air filled with the scent of ozone and decay. Containment field now. The blade moved with energy as she placed herself between the expanding rift and her troops. Batman moved quickly, activating his null fuel generator. A shimmering barrier of energy formed around the rift, temporarily halting its expansion. The tendrils were falling. Frustration. That one point for life. The troops were much smaller reach. Long enough for evacuation, Navarro suggested, already directing stormtroopers toward the exit. No, said Kate. If that entity fully materializes, it won't matter how far we run. The entire hive could be lost. Batman studied the rift, noting how the armor fragment in its container pulsed in perfect synchronization with the breach's contractions. An idea formed, dangerous but possibly their only option. The fragment is connected to the rift, he said. It could be used as a focus point to collapse the breach rather than contain it. Escher nodded in understanding. A reverse morality, using the fragment to draw the energy back into itself, then severing the connection completely. Theoretically possible, Kate conceded, but the power required would be enormous. My suit's power cells combined with your weapon's energy cores should provide enough for a single attempt. Batman was already modifying his device, adapting it for this new purpose. And what happens to the fragment afterward? Kate asked. It would be saturated with warp energy, dangerous to keep, impossible to safely destroy. Batman looked to Escher, unless... The Psyker understood immediately. I could channel the excess energy through my connection to the warp, disperse it safely. She hesitated, though the process would likely kill me. No, Batman said firmly. There's another way. He turned to the rift, which had begun to press against his null field, causing it to flicker and weaken. Through the fluctuating barrier, he could see more clearly into what appeared to be Gotham. The Wayne Enterprises tower stood in the distance, its distinctive architecture unmistakable. The fragment goes through he decided. Back to my reality, where the warp has less influence, where it can be used to create another breach. Along with you, Kate asked, studying him intently. Batman didn't answer immediately. The choice before him was stark. Return to Gotham, to his mission, his purpose, or remain in this grim, desperate reality where his skills are perhaps even more. I don't know if the message is even possible, he said finally, but someone needs to ensure the fragment doesn't fall into the wrong hands on the other side. The null field flickered again, more violently this time. Portions failed completely, allowing tendrils to push through into the chamber. Stormtroopers fired at the manifestations, their hellgun beams passing through with no effect. We're out of time, Kate declared. Make your decision, Batman. Stay or go. Batman looked to Varos, who had positioned himself to defend the retreating troops. The Hive needs men like you, Magistrate. Men who remember what justice truly means. Varos nodded in understanding. And it will have them. Your example has not been lost on us. To Escher, Batman said, monitor for any similar breaches. If the sleeper tries another approach, I will be vigilant, the Psycho promised. Finally, Batman turned to Kane. The cultists aren't defeated, just scattered. They'll be under new leadership. The Inquisition will be waiting. Danger. She hesitated, then extended her hand. Your methods were unorthodox, but your goals were pure. The Emperor protects those who
Weapons
protect his
restrictions lifted.
Batman accepted the gesture,
Beginning scan.
clasping her arm
Scanning bridges ID.
even those who
Verifying
don't
ID.
acknowledge his
Clear.
authority.
Weapons
Fade
detected.
almost smooth.
All weapons will be locked until
Especially
departure.
those in my
Cargo
experience.
verified.
The null field collapsed completely. The rift expanded to fill nearly half the chamber, its edges crackling with warp energy. The glimpses of Gotham became more stable and more defined. Streets Batman recognized. Buildings he had stood upon countless times during his nightly patrols. Batman activated his modified device, connecting it to the containment box holding the armor fragment. Energy surged from the combined power sources, forcing the fragment to glow with blinding intensity. The rift responded, contracting slightly before stabilizing into a perfect circular portal. Now, Escher urged, the alignment is perfect. You must go now if you intend to. Batman hesitated one final moment. In the short time he had been in this reality, he had made a difference. The Underhive had known a measure of justice it had never experienced before. People had begun to hope for something better than mere survival, but Gotham needed him too. His city, his mission, his eternal vow to his parents. Remember, he said to those watching, fear can be a weapon for justice, not just a tool of control. With that, Batman stepped toward the portal, the fragment clutched in his hand. As he approached, the images of Gotham became crystal clear. The portal pulled at him, recognizing him, welcoming him home. He stepped through, feeling reality twist and reshape around him. For an instant, he existed in both worlds simultaneously, feeling the polluted air of Necromunda and the familiar atmosphere of Gotham fill his lungs in the same breath. Then he was through. The portal collapsing behind him with a thunderclap of imploding air. Batman found himself standing on a rooftop in Gotham, the fragment in his hand already crumbling to dust as its connection to the warp faded in this reality. In the distance, the bat signal shone against the night sky. Gotham needed him, as it always had, as it always would. He fired his grapnel and swung toward the signal, leaving behind a reality that would tell stories of the Batman for generations to come. In Hive Primus, in the abandoned Mechanicus Shrine, Inquisitor Cade ordered the chamber sealed with adamantium bulkheads and silently monitored in perpetuity.
Hello.
Magistrate Varos returned to his precinct with a new perspective on justice and authority. In the weeks that followed, the armies under his command began to operate differently, less concerned with rigid adherence to protocol, more focused on protecting the truly innocent. The Psycheresher established a network of watchers throughout the Underhive, vigilant for signs of cult resurgence or warp disturbance. She also gathered accounts of the Batman's activities, preserving them against the inevitable Imperial revisionism. And in the deepest Underhive, where Imperial authority was little more than a distant they called themselves the Juggernautes. They were the symbol of a bat. They fought against the flesh traders, anti predators in the Hive depths, bringing a harsh but fair justice to places the Almighty never reached. Lord Helmar observed these developments with calculation. The Batman was gone, but his influence remained. A symbol could not be executed or imprisoned. An idea could not be purged by voting. Perhaps the planetary government mused, this was not entirely unlikely. A controlled myth might serve the Hive's stability better than the chaotic reality had. Inquisitor Cade never included the full truth of the Batman incident in her official reports. Some secrets she decided were better kept even from the Inquisition's archives. But she did commission a small token from a master artisan. Medallion ignoring the stylized image of reality, which she kept among her personal. A reminder that even in the darkest millennium, hope could take unexpected forms. In her private moments, Cade sometimes wondered about the world that man had returned to. Was it truly the haven he believed it to be? Or would he find it changed, corrupted, perhaps even destroyed in its absence? The world was fickle, and the message through was never without cost. Such questions had no answers in this reality. But somewhere, perhaps, in a city called Gotham on a world that had never known the Emperor's love, a dark knight continued his crusade against injustice, alone, uncompromising, unknown. The Emperor returns. Fate the same. In some realities, protection takes a different form. A shadow against the darkness, a symbol of a world turned toward justice, a bat against the endless night.
Beginning scan. Scanning bridges ID. Verifying ID. Clear. Weapons detected. All weapons will be locked until departure. All clear. Welcome,
Hey, buddy.
Sam Porter Bridges.
You're on electricity fire.
Decontaminating suit. Rest is advised.